Okay, guys, we are live. It is Sunday lunchtime. We're going to have a lovely little relaxed chat about the Reds. What else would you be doing on the Sunday, guys? What else would you be doing? And I've got two legends in to chat with me. Jack from Anfield Road TV in the house, live from Liverpool. I'm in Dublin. And Rack in London. It looks like Tenerife, but it is London, believe me. In the house to chat about them. How are you boys? All good?
All good,
yeah,
mate.
not too
All
bad, mate.
good.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, cheers for having me
bad.
on. It's a nice way to start Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a while, Rack. I think it was last year. I think it's a good year, at least more maybe since the last time I chat to you or we were on.
It's been a while, but I'll never forget it, Dave. You're one of the memorable guys to chat with for sure. You're always a barrel laugh. So yeah, good to be back.
That's what it should be all about, really. At the end of the day, isn't it? For football, I mean, it is serious enough, I suppose, but you should be able to laugh. Should be able to get a bit of fun out of it as much. I mean, if you're a United fan at the moment, you're certainly not laughing. You are absolutely crying at the moment. It's great to see us being a Liverpool fan. Of course, they are probably our biggest rivals. Well, rival is a word you use when you have a team like City or someone coming up against. But fan base rivalry and stuff like that, I still think they are the team I absolutely want to be. We play them Monday week, of course. We've Palace before then. But they're in the doldrums, Rack, aren't they? I mean, we talked earlier about they will come back at some stage, but hopefully not too soon.
Yeah, look, the longer they're in the mud, the better. There will come a time at some point in the future where they're good again, and there will also come a time at some point in the future where we're not so good again. But
yeah,
you just got to enjoy it while it lasts, and we're definitely enjoying it. I certainly am. It's too funny.
It's great. It's fucking great. Jack, I say you're in dreamland as well. I mean, Everton aren't doing great either, so. Obviously, Jack has a good few mates that are Everton fans, but I mean, Everton United for relegation would be the dream, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the table, but I think one match of the day last night, it was finish the season now, happy days. But yeah, they're complaining Lampard will be gone in a couple of weeks. I know they're a mess, but as Rack said, just enjoy every second of it. And they give us, especially I'm only 27, but I grew up watching. Especially people my age, we grew up watching United win title after title. So just enjoy it. The amount of school days that were wrecked with coming in, and United have absolutely battered us. So long may it continue.
Yeah. Mick Morana's in the house. How you make Cowboy Podcast? You can pop in if you want. Mick will send you a link. Just let me know. That's a bit better, Rack. The sun was shining in over your head.
It was, yeah, I know. I don't know what was going on there, but I'm not really an expert at these kind of things. So yeah.
But look, I'm not an expert. I'm doing this 4 years now. Jack's doing it just longer than me, but you learn every day. You learn from every stream. You learn from every podcast and chat. So it's all a bit of fun. That's all what it's all. It's like sitting in a bar or a pub or a restaurant chatting. That's the way I like. That's the level I like to bring it down to. I know some shows it certainly wouldn't get into a restaurant because we'd be fucking kicked out after 5 minutes. The screaming and shouting, the AFTV boys, the Coldbridge boys. But I don't like the ranting and screaming. Obviously, Liverpool lose or don't put in a performance, you can interrogate it and say it wasn't good enough. But luckily for us in the last 4 or 5 years, there hasn't been many, other than maybe Fulham last week. The first half was terrible, diabolical, but we still didn't lose the game. We actually got a draw. And draws to Liverpool are like losses at the moment. We're up at that level at the moment. But tomorrow night, guys, obviously, Crystal Palace, our first home game at Anfield. Palace are a tricky one for me. I mean, if they turn up, they can be dangerous. They've a few quality players there. Zaha is always dangerous, Rack. What do you think of the game tomorrow night? We got to start fast, I think, against Palace. Try to get an early goal.
Yeah, look, Liverpool under the lights, Anfield, first home game of the season. I expect nothing more than the win. They have got a few useful weapons. Zaha, Elise is good. Yeah. And they got a few other good, decent players. Patrick Vieira did a good job last season, so I expect a better performance from them than they put up against Arsenal. I think on the opening day they were pretty poor against Arsenal, to be fair. But look, I mean, we've got all the quality necessary. We've got a few injuries, and that's obviously not ideal. But
Rack's frozen. Rack's frozen in the heat. 40 degrees down there and he's after freezing. Do you want to take over there, Jack?
Yeah, no, Rack was spot on what we were saying. A lot of quality players, and I think last time we got beat by Aston Villa was 2017. That was the game that Liverpool went, we want to buy Christian Benteke, don't we? And then yeah, we sign him. He's not like he's playing in the MLS now, but yeah, it's we've got, when I was looking at the results over the last couple of games when we've played them, we've had a decent record. I think in the last 3 games at Anfield, I think we've had kept clean sheets, but it's like one loss in like the last 8 games against Aston Villa. It's quite an astounding record in reality, and obviously we beat them 7 goals last year as well. So it's always been a good stomping ground away and obviously at home. But as Rack said, the playing under the lights. As I was saying to you, Dave, this week, I love playing on Mondays. I know it's not ideal for people going to work and in and about, but it's especially off the back of obviously the performance that we had last week. I think it's under the lights. Anfield will be roaring as well, and obviously everyone will be able to come back from work and just enjoy the footy, because it was a weird result, but as you said, mate, we're not used to playing that level. But I think Jurgen Klopp, he would have been shocked, but he'll get that's why Jurgen Klopp gets paid this amount of money, and that's why he's regarded as one of the best coaches in world football. He'll get the right reaction from these players, and obviously with the crowds, they're hoping a massive win and a win next week, and that draw seems a long distant memory in reality.
Well, we got to do it on the pitch, Jack. I mean, obviously, United game, we won't even think of that because it's so far away. It's not for another week, but we got to win tomorrow night, put in a performance, get the win, clean sheets, and a load of goals would be great. But I think it's just about the 3 points, really. I think it's just about the win. I'm a traditionalist. I like my Saturday football and my Sunday afternoons. But as you say, there's not much to look forward to any Monday, because Monday's Monday. No one likes tell me why. I don't like everybody doesn't like Mondays in work. So at least you have a big game to look forward to. I suppose that's one way of looking about it on a Monday night. But I think, as I said to Rack a few minutes ago, he's obviously having a few technical issues. He'll be hopefully back in a few minutes. But I think we got to start fast. I mean, we were so slow against Fulham. I don't think the crowd will allow us to be too slow. We'll just get straight into them, first 10, 15. If we can get a goal, it always helps, if you're fast play. And if we can get a goal early, it really will help. I think the likes of Nunez, Diaz, Salah, I think that would be the front 3. Surely that 3 will strike fear into a Palace defence, surely.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And it starts an intensity. We've all watched watched so many games of football, beat the Reds and that, but it all starts from the very first couple of seconds, really, a crunching tackle, especially the Anfield crowd or an away opposition fan. If you are going away, as we've seen over the last couple of years, it's important. And I was hoping, when we spoke to you, Dave, on the pre-match Fulham show, that we wanted to set the tempo right. And how many videos have we done prior to the season, mate, on all of us? We wanted to start this season quick. Leave no stone unturned, really. But that's football. Sometimes you don't always get the results. But yeah, it's going to be up to the players in reality. Yeah, you can talk about the crowd, but end of the day, it's the players on the pitch that really need to put the performances in, and they haven't disappointed in recent times anyway. So, I just love nothing more than seeing a crunching tackle on the first couple a clean crunching tackle anyway, and then it just gets the crowd on song, really.
Yeah, I think, Rack, we were just saying there that obviously Liverpool tomorrow night against Palace. I think it's so important, first 10, 15, we start that game fast. Under the lights at Anfield, first home game, crowd behind us, all that type of stuff. We just did the exact opposite against Fulham. We've got to start fast. An early goal would be great. What do you think? Just get stuck in early?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the way to go. The fans are going to be up for it. The team's going to be up for it. Obviously, I'm sure they will have dissected the previous performance. We've had 8-9 days to go over that, and I'm sure Klopp would have done that with the players. And they're definitely going to want to show a reaction, and they need to be fair. It was all a little bit lethargic against Fulham, and it's not easy. It was a warm day, and maybe they're pre-season and stuff, and early games, and there's lots of reasons why that may have gone that way. But that's in the past. Start early, get a couple of goals, and then see how you want to play the game.
Yeah, goals, yeah. Plus, Fulham played well. I mean, people aren't pointing to the fact Fulham actually played well on the day. They'll probably do that. I mean, they drew 0-0. It was a 0-0. Was it Wolves? Yes, they drew. They got another draw. I think Mitrovic missed a penalty, actually.
Shame he couldn't have done that last week.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. They might have raised the game against Liverpool. I don't think they had anything to lose. They could literally go for it and say, listen, and we get out of this game as a bonus. Whereas when Fulham will come up against teams more at their level or mid-table, it's more cat and mouse. they won't come out as much. They won't be as attacking, I don't think.
I think that's one point that's put a City as well. Teams always, Liverpool historically, or you play Man United. Look at how Brentford celebrated yesterday. We are still the big dogs. And give it another 10, 15 years, I think City, eventually teams and fans will come to realisation that they are, and they will be, they're in the process of becoming an elite power. But I think sometimes teams just roll over to an extent where they play City. But when it's against Liverpool, it's Liverpool, and their backs are up and they get the performances. Because I bet you Fulham are turn up to, if they play at the Cottage or to go to the Etihad, and they'll probably roll them over. Yes, you can talk about City's quality, but it's just one aspect that annoys me. But Joe Gomez will be massive boys as well. I don't know how you lads feel in chat. He's had this phenomenal records. I think the season we won the league, or especially when we won the Champions League as well. I think all of us, because he hasn't played and with the injuries last year, the year before, sorry, those two, they've got such an imperious record, really. It's like a lot of clean sheets, a lot of wins as well. So it's not ideal, but potentially it could be a blessing in disguise if we think long term.
I mean, we look at the team now that we think will play Palace, but obviously that little injury that Matip has picked up over the weekend, I think it was Friday. I don't think it's a serious issue though. So I'm told, it is a niggle. I think they'll play Gomez, Van Dijk tomorrow night, just for the very fact we've United the following week. And why risk it with Matip, especially because he has been injury prone. Last year we were just like blessed with Matip, and he was one of our best players. To be fair, he was unbelievable. He was as good as Van Dijk, maybe even better than Van Dijk in certain games. That's the level Matip was at, and we always know Matip is like Bambi on ice, so we have to be very, very careful with him. And I that's the reason I think Gomez. So why not start Gomez and Van Dijk tomorrow night? I think Alisson will be in goal. Trent, Robbo. You'll have to. The midfield then is the big question. Does he play Elliott? Does he play Naby? I think Naby has a great chance of playing with Fab and Hendo. And up front, it has to be Nunez starting with Mo and Diaz. What do you think, Rack?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I like Gomez. There was a period where Gomez was and Van Dijk was, in my opinion, the best partnership. The numbers prove that, and I thought he was the future. That knee injury that he got was really sad because that's taken him back, and we still don't know whether he's ever going to come back to that form. What we do know is that anybody who plays who plays with Van Dijk, their game gets taken up a notch or two. And who knows? Sometimes these opportunities present themselves, and this may be a chance for Gomez to prove himself again. And if he takes it, who knows? Maybe he could be this year's Matip, and maybe Matip will get knocked down a peg or two, and Konate might, and Konate too. So I'm really Gomez and Van Dijk. They complemented themselves so that partnership complemented each other so well that I'd like to see more of it again. And this might be the opportunity. Yeah. And so, what were the other positions?
Well, what I'm thinking, obviously, the midfield. We've got issues in midfield. Obviously, Fabinho, Hendo, you would think are nailed on with the likes of Thiago out and the niggle with Jones and stuff like that. The question is, does he go with an Elliott or really attacking side, or does he stick with a type of Naby Keita? I think that's just the question mark in the midfield tomorrow night.
I mean, I really want to see more of Elliott. I think his future was so bright, and even the other day against Fulham when he came on, just the way that he uses the ball. Yeah, he's got experience beyond his years, and I think he could become a real star for us in long term. And for him to reach those levels, obviously he's game time. I'm excited to see Carvalho at some point. I'm a big fan of Naby too, but it's in a way we've been affected by injuries in midfield, but we also do have a wealth of options as well. You would like more, and we definitely want all our midfield options fit, but we shouldn't be too down on it, because if these young kids can do what I think they can do and what a lot of us think they can do, then the future's very bright for them and for us.
Yeah, if the future's bright, the future is red. Jamie Phillips Football Chat is in. I've sent you a link, Jamie. If you want to pop in for 10-15 minutes, you can pop in. It's up to you. The link is in your DM on Twitter. Yeah, I think it's important tomorrow night if Gomez starts, which looks like he probably will with Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk will shuttle him in and literally ease him into it. He'd be much better with types of Van Dijk beside him, because even if he does make a rusty mistake because he hasn't played for a while, Van Dijk can be there to cover for him, That it always looks like that. But I mean, there we go again. I mean, Konaté's out with an injury. He played in that Strasbourg game, which we thought no one really should have played in that, to be fair. He got a bit of a little serious injury. I mean, it was, it wasn't a niggle. It's a few weeks job. We've long-term issues. There's one player I want to come back, and I want him back. I think he will be back next week. Whether he's in the squad for United, I don't know. Jota. I mean, he's going to give us an extra dimension as well, coming off the bench with those 5 sub-rules, which I've always said could be huge, will be huge when everybody's fit and we have a quality bench. You know what I mean? It could be absolutely huge. But back to
especially
tomorrow
this season.
What, Rack?
Especially this season, where fixture congestion is going to be a massive thing. Like, I think
World Cup and all that. Like,
yeah, I think next week we have a free midweek, and then after that, I think it's back-to-back games, either Carabao Cup, Champions League, or Premier League, up until the World Cup, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we've in a way you could say we've had a nice ease into it, because we had our game on the Saturday. We had one of the very first game, the second game Arsenal played first on the Saturday lunchtime. Then we had a break till Monday week, which is tomorrow night, and then another week till the United. So we a nice ease into it. You know what I mean? No real excuses there. The lads looked ready to rock. As we know, Klopp puts them through. Maybe we played 1 or 2 friendlies too much. Certainly that Strasbourg game, I don't think ever should have been played. We did an indoor game against Villa, which we cancelled. Don't know what that was about either. That was cancelled. I mean, you look at City. I don't think did City only play something like 3 friendlies?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Sometimes less is more. Isn't that the famous saying?
Yeah,
it's the thing. No, boys. We played the maximum amount of games last season, and like 3 years prior as well. We more or less play a consistent starting 11 with the odd addition of obviously Thiago over the last 2 years as well. So it's bound to catch up with you, and we'll eventually catch up to Manchester City. It will just depend on, in reality, where their injury crisis does appear. Because I know, yes, he brought in Diaz, but that season we won the league. Laporte was a massive miss. And I watched Manchester City yesterday, and if Kevin, yes, you can talk about Bernardo Silva coming in and Foden and all that, but if something did happen, I'm not wishing it upon him, but if something did happen to Kevin De Bruyne, he's that good of a player. Similar with Salah, you never know how it could go, because Grealish not really made that desired impact. He's struggling. And Haaland only had 8 touches.
Yeah,
8 touches yesterday. I know he do well, but like,
listen, you'll still score goals, guys. He got 20 plus. There's no doubt about it.
I triple captained him on air. Triple captained him on Fantasy Football. So well done, McKindle. Like, the one game.
Keep doing that.
Yeah, he'll do the 4 there. He'll score 4 goals next week. Just watch.
Yeah, I've no doubts about it. See the size of the fella. I didn't realise he was that big. He's a bleeding monster, and he's pacey. Is he 6'4"? Ridiculous.
Something like that, yeah.
An absolute ridiculous. What did your man call him? You know your man that does the sketches. He did the guild, the Greeters Guild. You know the guy I'm talking about? Your man Troy Hawk. Yeah. Your man Troy Hawk. What did he call him? A meat shield.
A meat shield, yeah.
Brilliant. The Norwegian meat shield. Oh, he's unbelievable. He's brilliant, that guy. Liverpool won't be that bad this season again. Well, hopefully not. We just got to get the 3 points tomorrow night. I think to be honest, performances are lovely. As I said earlier, 3-4-0's great. Clean sheets are beautiful. Wonder goals are lovely. But if you're giving me 1-0 now, an OG in the last minute, I'll just take the 3 points and then all eyes on the United game. Okay, you want a bit of, what's the word? You want a bit of momentum going into that United game, because it is Liverpool United, even though they're absolutely shite. They are really bad. It's as bad as I've seen them probably since the mid-'80s, just before Ferguson came, even if I can remember back that far. But it's still a game that the world's is going to be on that game, considering what's happened. They're talking about walkouts, walk-ins, walking on the pitch. Who knows? It could get Messi. It could get Lionel Messi at that game. But
I don't know why they do it themselves. Imagine sitting through 90 minutes of that dross. Like, Christ. They do it. It's their own fault for going to watch a United game at this current date. Like,
imagine having a season ticket. But look,
the stadium is falling down anyway.
What?
The stadium's. I just loved Neville's rant yesterday. How many times can you rant about owners and different aspects? I think it's good for us. And Jamie Carragher's got a load of memes already saved. But
Jamie Redknapp, the two of them are nearly going to have a fight. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, that was mad. Yeah. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Or something. Calm down, Jamie.
I don't know who's speaking the more sense. I don't know. Obviously, the owners are a problem at United, but that's their problem. We've had problems. We've had dark days. We've had Hicks and Gillette in 2010. We've had problems. We've got out of it. It's not easy. That's the problem. When that type of thing and that negativity seeps into a club, it doesn't take 2 or 3 transfer windows. It doesn't take 1 or 2 years. Apparently, their ground needs upgrading as well. Their training ground needs upgrading again. That costs money. I mean, people can give out about FSG all they want about signing players, but you've got to have the foundation in behind. Look at what they're doing to Anfield, guys, around the ground. The Anfield Road end now by next season will be ready to rock. And look what they did with the new Kirby AXA Training Centre. It's one of the best in the world. So you've got to have that foundation there. Yes, we all want £100 million players on the bench like City and like PSG, all the oil boys. But I think we're doing it the right way. I think we're building nicely. And
I think the thing is, if you look at what happened with Hicks and Gillette, in a way, United they're in a bad state, but they can still spend a decent chunk of money. There were summers with Hicks and Gillette where we sold a load of players and didn't buy anybody.
Yeah.
So they've still got a bit.
We bought Pilsen from Denmark.
Yeah. So they've still got a bit of financial muscle that they can rely on to build, and from a football perspective, you can kind of sympathise a little with them in the sense that you don't want your football club to, but then because it's United, you're like, oh well, you're on your own, son.
Well, look, of course, I mean, we've been there. That's why we can sympathise with them. We've been there. They are a big club, of course. I mean, they've got a huge fan base and all that. They've still got money. People still moan about money. They still have money. I mean, they've spent a lot of money, but they've bought the wrong players. It's the recruitment that's really got them, I think.
And also, if this was the flip, if it was the other way around, they would also be laughing at us. They would be laughing at us.
They were laughing at us against the Fulham game.
Yeah.
I have a few United fans in my job, and they had the audacity to laugh at me for the Bangkok Cup. The Bangkok Cup is on the mantelpiece, guys.
Got a trophy though, boys, haven't they?
It is. Well, it's a top trophy because you're playing us. That's the only reason it's a top trophy. But you know what I mean? So, for me, look, go away, relax, use it to build. You're down at that level now. I mean, there's a chance they won't get top 4 again this season. I just think the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, even Chelsea, us and City, there's 5 teams ahead of them. And there's
even
only 4
top
spots.
10.
You know what I'm saying?
Even top 10, like the way teams have started, I know it's 2 games in, but the back of last season as well, Newcastle started quite strong since Eddie Howe's come in, and a lot of teams, even Brentford. I know they've changed the whole starting 11, but if you can't get different linked with Hassan Mawar today, and the fact that not Brentford, Forest, sorry, if Forest or like they've made
about half the bloody league.
Yeah.
You mad? Fuck's sake. Forest. They're like Robin Hood going around taking all the players. Forest. Look, I have a little bit of a soft spot for Forest. I think they'll do well. I think they have a good chance of staying up, actually.
I hope so.
Well, they're a historical type of club. They've got European Cup, something Man City don't have. I mean, that's not in the Forest. So, it's always worth throwing that one in there. North Reds, this narrative about the owners is bull. They have spent more than even City. This is all, sorry, excuses there. That's true. They've spent more than anyone. That's what I said earlier. Go back 10, 15 years when the Glazers came in. They have spent money. But the recruitment, they're Michael Edwards, they're Julian Ward. Whoever does that job isn't doing the job. He should be working in Tesco's. Every little helps. I mean, this guy just isn't. Whatever they're doing, they control the wages. I mean, they pay big wages. What would you give your man Alexis Sanchez? $500,000? Pogba, $500,000 a week.
Something crazy.
It's the infrastructure though, boys, isn't it? Fergie was the infrastructure of that club.
I heard he's still there. I heard he's still coming into the dressing room.
No, and that's one of the biggest aspects as well. Liverpool got rid of Kenny. Like, when we got rid of him, Kenny took a back seat. Ferguson's gone, and he's like your headmaster or someone that's just... Every manager that's gone into United has literally looked up to the top of the stands, and Fergie's been looking down, judging them.
Well, it is a hard one to copy, isn't it? It is a hard one to copy.
There's not similar with Jurgen Klopp with us, obviously not on that level in terms of hopefully one day, but it's managers like that, and Pep Guardiola as well. No, we joke about him, but he's a good manager. But the elite level managers, there's not many of them, and I think the infrastructure, as I said, they're an absolute shambles, as we mentioned.
You know what the amazing thing is? We started this off talking about Liverpool, and we're ending up talking about United.
Enjoy it, boys.
You got to enjoy it while you can. I know. I did say that to Rack earlier. Yeah. You have to sort of enjoy it while you can, because I said it won't last forever. I mean, definitely this season's going to be a bit of hurt and pain for them. Whether Ten Hag is the man, I don't know. I really don't. I think he's a good manager and stuff like that. But if you haven't got the playing staff, if you don't have the desire, I mean, they're not even running for a manager. That tells you one thing. And he's a taskmaster. He's an old school taskmaster. You know, he will do a clear out. And the problem for United is there's only 2 weeks left in the window. And anybody they buy now is a panic buy. It's not even who they really want, I'd say. Because you can't just buy somebody in 2 weeks in a window. And that's what Klopp doesn't do. It's usually a year or 18 months they're looking at this guy. And it all adds up, and then they say go. They don't usually give 2 or 3 weeks an hour out to someone like that, you know.
Teams don't want to let quality players go with 2 weeks of the window left.
There's another reason.
Replace them. They're fat. Imagine you're the fan of a team which lets a good player go. Now you're going to be absolutely livid, and obviously owners and the people who run teams, they're aware of that. And then a lot of players that you may have been interested at the start when they may have already moved. There's so many factors that you got to bear in mind. You know, United are in a tough place, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
maybe they should have moved on from what's his face, De Jong earlier. Now it seems like maybe they have, but I have no idea what's going on there. Who knows?
Did you guys see the thing I did on Twitter yesterday with twins with Maguire and Martinez?
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant.
It actually went viral. I think it's 100,000 views or something ridiculous like that. Really? I just had to do it. I seen the twins thing with Schwarzenegger and DeVito, and I have this great app where you can just take faces, put the faces on. I just had to do it. This has to be, you know. I mean, a 5'9" centre half. He's a good baller, that guy Martinez. But the Premier League's a physical league. You know, more than any other league, it's physical. And I mean, even imagine Darwinnunez. He's 6'1". He's a big fella, good in the air, coming up against Martinez from across, stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's where I think I don't know. I mean, Ten Hag, probably looking at the Dutch league, it's much more technical. The ball's on the ground a lot more. Premier League, the ball is in the air a lot more. Actually, a lot less than it used to be. Back in the 80s and 90s, the ball was only in the air, you know. But you've got to be physical. You've got to be big and physical.
You say that, Dave, but if you compare the first few seasons of the Premier League to now, there's like 3 times more headed goals now. Set pieces, aerial balls, aerial duels, they're much more important now, because if you look at how much time teams spend on
no, I'm thinking of the whole physicality package.
Yeah.
It's got a bit cleaner than it used to be. I mean, tackles, leg breakers and stuff. That's all gone out again.
But then you've also, like, from the physical aspect, you've also got players run a hell of a lot more. They're a lot fitter. So it's definitely tackles. You know, there were just some proper leg breakers back in the 80s, 90s and stuff. But now you've got to run a hell of a lot more. You know, the condition. Everyone's an athlete. You can't get by just going down the pub the night before. So it's swings and roundabouts. It's mad.
Ralligord says, "Is he really 5'9"? No, he's actually 5'8". I don't know, but he does. I mean, Maguire's big.
Something like that.
6'3", and him standing beside Maguire is twins, basically. That's the whole reason. He is Danny DeVito, and he is Schwarzenegger. But Jack, I mean, look, we're actually, I don't mind doing all these tangents. We're tangentially talking about the Premier League, I suppose. Big game today, actually. Chelsea against Spurs. I think that's a big game. That'll tell you and tell us all how far Spurs have come, I think, today in Conte. This is a big game. I mean, Stamford Bridge, derby game. Chelsea do not lose traditionally against Spurs at Stamford Bridge. I mean, I think this is going to be a huge to show us, are Spurs serious, I think, today. What do you think?
Yeah, I went with a 4-1 win to Spurs. Probably a bit mad. I did go 4-1 to Brentford. Yeah, it was last week. and Brighton last week. But as you said, mate, but Spurs, I've got them finishing third. I think a lot of people have certain sections have them finishing above Liverpool, but we won't mention them. But
deluded sections, is it?
I had Chelsea finishing outside top four, just mainly due to the fact of Tuchel. We've seen in his time at Liverpool and even PSG as well. He's very much similar with Ten Hag. He's a taskmaster, but he's a petulant child in reality when he doesn't get what he wants. And you look at Kai Havertz, you look at Timo Werner, players that come into the squad, he doesn't necessarily make them better. Something that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola does. If Havertz, I've heard some of my Chelsea mates go, oh, it's down to Havertz. If he doesn't improve in the next 12 months, he's gone. I'm like, no, that's not how it should be. It should be the coach should bring the players in, get the best out of them, utilise them in the best system and the best position for them. They've a lot of great signs. I think Koulibaly, for me, he's always been over the last 5 years. He's in the top 5 of centre halves, replacing Rudiger. He's improved that. I think Rudiger was a decent centre half, but I think he was massively overrated in certain sections. But yeah, the fullback areas for Chelsea is going to be a big thing. Last year we had, we're going to be challenging for the league. Fullbacks get injured and we can't challenge. And this year they've brought in Cucurella. Dan James gets injured, not necessarily got a fullback in that right area. So I think they'll do well, but Tottenham are Tottenham. Goals. Kulusevski, tell you what a signing. I really do rate him. Son, Kane's dropping a bit deeper, but the one aspect and one thing that gets you to win goals, most important games, is goals. And Romero at the back. One that's gone under the radar. I know a lot of people do rate him, but the more to watch him, I'm like, not too bad of a sign, especially off the back of having Sanchez at the back for a couple of seasons.
I'm actually looking forward to that Chelsea Spurs game today, Rack. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Look, Spurs have got a terrible record at the Bridge. I think they've only won once there in
Chelsea won't lie over
20 years. But you know, a lot of people are bigging up Spurs, saying that they're going to be going for third place. I've even heard of some of them say that we're going to be challenging for the title and we've got our eyes placed on Liverpool and overtaking them. And I'm like, this is all very familiar because I heard the same kind of thing from Chelsea fans last year. I want to see these teams prove it, and by proving it, they need to come through against some of the big teams. And they need to win consecutive games. Like Liverpool and City, they've proved that over several years, they're able to string 10, 12, 14, 16 wins in a row, when it's necessary. I think in the second half of last season, we dropped 4 points. Now, are Chelsea or Tottenham capable of that kind of run? We know Liverpool are, we know City are. And so this is an early test. I think Spurs are playing them at a good time, to be fair. Chelsea have got a few players coming in, and maybe they might need some time to bed in. They weren't great against Everton, but Spurs also have to show something. There was a bit
of steal there against Everton, I thought, for Chelsea.
Yeah, but I didn't think they created that much. I mean, they deserve to win the game, sure, but Everton are also diabolical. Yeah. So I'm going to be watching it, with an interested eye, just to see how far they are.
I think it might be a draw. I think they might cancel each other out. But look, I'm not saying don't care what happens in it, but I mean, we obviously have to keep an eye on teams that are either up behind us or trying to overtake us and stuff like that. I'm sure Klopp would probably be watching that game today. You wouldn't know. But I mean, Jack, look, back to tomorrow night. Up front, of course, Darwinnunez. I mean, there's a great chance he will start. I think he will. A lot of people say he should have started against Fulham, and we know what he did, and he came on. I think if we would have ran that game back, had another 10 minutes to go, I think we might have won that game. We are coming on strong last 10-15. With Darwin, Diaz, and Mohala. I mean, that's a beautiful front three, isn't it? I mean, that's a dream of a front three.
Not too bad. I think if I can get me tickets sorted, bloody nightmare with this new ticketing system. Yeah. I'll probably see me back on YouTube with you, Dave. I'm being led in the ground. Tickets doesn't work.
So you know me. I know Dave's LFC chats. Okay, go on.
I'm that small. I can probably sneak in anyway, so I'll just try and find the gap. But the last time I see Nunez was in that Benfica game. I was lucky enough to be in the Cup, and he took the breath away. In reality, it was like I come away from the game going, tell you what, I know it's only 90 plus minutes, and over the 2 legs, he impressed me. But when you see him, his movements, he scored like 3 offside goals. But not many players do that to our defence, unless you're like Ollie Watkins or something. The other case,
unless you're like Darwinnunez.
Yeah, but yeah, he's one of those players that, and even watching football, you're like, there's some player there. And what I didn't want is the next 3-4 year periods, he goes to a Bayern or he goes to a Borussia Dortmund, and Liverpool missed a trick. I know people going, oh, price tag, but similar as I mentioned with Tuchel, Chelsea bring in players, but what you do get with Jurgen Klopp, he gets the best out of the players, and he will improve Nunez in different aspects. And these compilations on Twitter, the small segments of the football game, you could make anyone, like you could make us, if you cut us into a video in the park, you'd make us look like prime Pele or Maradona or something. It's funny, the society in which, especially on social media, football. But Nunez, he's got everything to thrive. And as I said, boys, we've got 2 of the best fullbacks in world football that'll be whipping in balls. Trent, but it's salivating in terms of the chances he will get. Soon with
salivating.
Yeah. There we go. But yeah, I can't wait. Just get him in the ground. He'll score goals, and bloody hell, he took off his top in the bloody Community Shields. Imagine the roar of the
if I had a body like him, I'd be taking me fucking top off.
Oh yeah, 100%. You wouldn't put it up.
That guy is ripped, baby. But another thing as well, I think Darwin did, and you see when it came on, it gave Mo Salah a breath of fresh air. He started getting more room. He started being able to do what we know he does. I think with Mo, Diaz as well on the other side, and Jota when he comes back, it will free up those players because he plays in that central area and he's a big lad. He's 6'1". We know he's pacey. I think he was the fastest Premier League player clocked up last week. 36.5k once, that were ridiculous speeds. And I just think, I said it earlier in the season when we signed him, he is going to get you 20 plus goals, but 80% of them are going to be in that 6-yard, 10-yard area. Tap-ins, balls in. You know, even like the goal he got against City in the Community Shield, that was 6 yards out. It doesn't matter. You know, Gary Lineker did it. Ian Rush did it. Aldridge did it back in the 80s. Tap-ins, a goal's a goal. Give me 20, 25 plus tap-ins any season. I'm sure he'd take them now. But he gives us that dimension and it frees up Mo. If you ever wanted to free Mo, because usually, to be fair, Mo's 2 or 3 people around him because he is the talisman. He's the king of Egypt. We know that. But I think Darwin Rack gives Mo a bit of a license as well. Yeah, look,
he's a physical presence. He's going to occupy and make certain runs that Bobby probably wouldn't have done. Even Mane probably wouldn't have done. It's going to be a different problem for opposition teams to have to deal with. It's not, it's going to take some acclimatization because he's not going to, although he's hit the ground running, he's not going to be, fully integrated into the team for probably a few months yet. But already he's showing what we think he's capable of. And look, when we very rarely miss when we buy players, and especially when we're spending big money on players, we don't miss. And I think I have high hopes for Darwin. I think he's going to do brilliantly. If he can take some of the focus off Mo, because quite often you're absolutely right, Mo gets double teamed. Luis Diaz sometimes gets double teamed because they're shit scared of being left 1-on-1 against these players. But that will then leave more space for those guys. Maybe that gives more space for Trent and Robbo to join in attacks and whip dangerous balls in. And you got the additional aerial threat. I mean, Mane was decent in the year for his size, but let's be realistic. Darwin's a totally different prospect. I'm super excited. And you got Carvalho coming on, who I think did okay when he came on the other day, and Elliot and Thiago. There's a lot of stuff that, in theory, is going to be spectacular, properly spectacular. So I'm looking forward to see it unfold.
Yeah, and here's another one there. Any news on Jota, says MC? Well, I heard Klopp said something last week about he's about 2 weeks away. Now, 2 weeks away, which will mean he'll miss the United game, obviously, and he'd probably come back training next week in about 10 days. And listen, just to have Jota back on the bench, maybe in the next 2-3 weeks, I'd be happy because he just gives us another dimension. Having him on the bench last 15-20 is a great impact sub to have. But Jack, obviously Nunez, I think he will start tomorrow night. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Yeah. With Diaz and Mo, you would think, but you never know. Klopp, you might start Firmino again. You just never know. I know he got bad press over doing it and stuff like that, but we all know he loves Bobby. You know, he really does love Bobby. We heard him saying he's the heart and soul of the club and stuff like that. You never know. I might do a Nunez last 20-25 again, but I'd love to see Nunez start. Get him in early, the home crowds, those three, run at Palace, get a goal or two. Obviously, it'd be brilliant coming into the United game. But do you think it'll be the front three tomorrow night? Diaz, Mo, Nunez?
Yeah, it's going to be, as we've already discussed, isn't it, mate? The midfield, for me, it was down to me, we'd probably get 5-0 if I started this midfield, but I'd like to see the Fabinho and then Carvalho on the left, and then obviously Elliott. I know when you look at it defensively, especially with Naby sometimes, obviously the ball watching and when it's defensive duties, but we're at home. I'd like to see that, but I think he will probably put Milner in just for that experience, or even put Henderson in. And again, I know it probably disgruntles a lot of people the words of Henderson, but he's our club captain, and I know we did drop a clanger, and he's not, his best position is in the 6, and that's Jurgen Klopp's best words as well. But it's going to be fine. As Rack said, there's a lot of players, and the main thing is there's going to be a lot of games, so we've got to be utilising every single player in the right areas. And but for me, I'd like to see Carvalho in that left-hand side of the midfield, especially with Thiago out injured, Elliott on the right, and then obviously either Henderson or Fabinho in the 6, and just go out and attack and express.
I think he'd do that. You know, we know Klopp likes very rarely does that. He's very conservative. He likes those two holding type players, and then the Elliott or even the Naby who'll go a little bit more forward. I think he could start with that. But with the 5 sub rule, that gives you that option with 20 to go. If you're not winning the game or you're drawn or something, you know what I mean? Rack, you know, I think that 5 sub rule, we've been talking about it. Klopp's wanted it for so long. I'm sure Pep's wanted it. The big clubs with the big squads and the big benches and the quality on the bench, it can only serve those clubs better when you've the likes of Carvalho, Elliott, leading Jota, these type of players to come on with 20 to go. Surely.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, when you've got so many games coming in such a short space of time, the fact that you've got the flexibility to make additional subs is a big deal. And we could certainly take advantage of that. And also, I mean, you need to, because just there's so many games there.
Plus, you're resting other players. You're resting key players that do struggle with an odd injury, like the Matip, like a Naby. Even you can rest Van Dijk last 20 if you're winning 2 or 3-0. Put on a Gomez, that type of thing. I think that's where it could come in as well. Management, you know, injury management, game management.
Absolutely. So yeah, I would like to see Harvey start tomorrow. Tomorrow. I've lost track of my days then. And I'd probably still stick with Hendo and have a Hendo Fab midfield and have, because I love Elliott. I think he's got so much talent, so I want to see more and more of him. And then see how that does. You've got Naby I think he's only just recently come back from injury, so you know you have got flexibility to bring him on, bring on Carvalho and
Bobby
even an Elliott, Bobby if you want to change it up in towards the end of the second half if we've got the game secured, give him a few minutes, rest Darwin. You know, there's options there, so that's the most.
I'm actually going more towards Elliott starting tomorrow night now than I would have been last week. I think you'll have Gomez, Van Dijk, Trent, Robbo, Alisson, Fabinho, Hendo, Elliott, Darwin, Mo, and Diaz. I think that could be your team.
Yeah, 100%. You don't give a new lad a new contract and not start him, do you?
That as well, the new long-term deal, yeah.
Yeah, for me, long-term, especially this season as well, I think that's a massive indication. We've seen Elliott start, was it the first 3 games last year? And I think that took a lot of us by surprise. Chelsea, yeah, so he was originally selected ahead of Henderson at the beginning of last year. I think he would have started easy 35, 40 odd games if he wasn't injured. I think it was against Leeds anyway. But yeah, he's got a lot of qualities, and obviously the combination play between Salah and Trent down that right, it's just exciting. And we see when Elliott's introduction against Fulham very much changed the game. Him and Milner making those diagonal runs, but. Yeah, exciting times, mate, but we just got to focus. I'd happily take a 1-0. Not ideal, but as you said, take another 10 1-0 wins. It's the result. It's the points that matter, really, mate.
It's more about the result than the performance. Although, listen, you want everything. Being a Liverpool fan, of course, at home, you want a performance and a result. I'm going 2-0. I think I said Mo and Nunez. Clean sheet would be nice going into the United game as well. The 3 points, just to ease us into that. Let United do all the worrying. Our fans do the worrying. We just get the points tomorrow night. Jack, have you had much coming up on Jack McIndoe TV? You doing a watch along, or sure you're going to the match, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to be going to the game if I can get in the stadium. That'll be the main thing.
That'd be a good start.
I'll just go to the pub anyway. But we'll be having a match day vlog on Monday, and obviously have the post-match show on Tuesday. If you're around, boys, you're very welcome. But thank you very much for having me on, mate. It's great to speak to you again, back anyway. And everyone, have a lovely rest of your Sunday.
What's your scoreline for tomorrow? What do you think?
4-0. I've just said that. I need to take a 1-0.
I'll take that.
But I go 4-0 Yeah, I go 4-0.
He loves that 4-0. He fucking loves it.
Just to match the United result, eh?
Yeah. I'm going to go 2-0. I think I said Mo and Nunez. Clean sheet, be nice. 2 goals. Just a goal for Nunez. Mo, just keep it tipping over for the United game. But the most important thing, Rack, as I said to Jack, is just win the bloody game.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-0 for me as well. I expect Palace to show a little bit of a reaction, so I think they'll do better than they did against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But we'll be too strong for them. We've got too many weapons, and we need to. We don't want City to be build up too much of a lead from the get go. So it's. I hate to be over dramatic and call it a must win, but it is kind of a must win.
Oh yeah, even this early. I mean, even this early in. I mean, it'll be only our second game. Here's another good point before we go. We can laugh at this one to finish it. Liverpool. I mean, United have only played 2 games and they've lost the same amount of games as Liverpool did all last season in the Premier League. There you go. We'll leave it on that one. Liverpool to beat Palace tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it. Jack, Rack. Let's go. That rhymed. Talk soon. You'll never walk alone. Cheers for the comments, guys.